should prepare. Yeah, which I'll still send you.
Are you the permanent new manager or are you acting?
I am the new manager.
Well,
as of
congratulations.
October 20th. Yep.
Oh, my goodness, well, that's news.
Yeah.
Just the county board.
Well, there's one for Patty and nurses. Not till I'm ready to.
All right, just let me know.
You want to book it, seriously.
No, Brian?
Morning.
I consider. Maybe it's going to see what it's called.
Okay, guys, so even though Patty's not here, she went over all the minutes with me and I get a gold star because on one of them, there was no changes. It's a little thing. I know, I was like, is this on the record?
So yeah, she was in there Friday reviewing all that stuff with you, so we should be able to approve all those today then. And not leave them for, all right, good morning, everybody. It's November 18th, 2024 at 10 a.m. Please stand and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Need to get that pulled up, it's not even touched the ground there.
Yeah. Right, so for the record, Commissioner Doro is absent this morning. And, so with that, we'll move into, well, I wanted to start off real quick, like, with a quick update or comment or correction or whatever. During the, public hearing for the library last week or a couple weeks ago on November 6th, during that hearing, I spoke to the, projected balance on the, operating reserve fund. And in that statement, I had mentioned that by the end of this calendar or this fiscal year, the fund should be at about $2 million, and that was incorrect. The fund will be just a little bit over $1 million. And my goal is by the time the end of my first term, we'll be at $2 million. And then, again, the 6-month reserve that's recommended by accountants and whatnot should be between $4 and $6 million. I would imagine by the time we get that amount built up, that it'll probably be close to 6 million with inflation and everything about where we'll need to be. So anyway, I wanted to correct that. I have added a little bit of a video to the end of that hearing video that says the same thing to correct that, and I wanted to make sure it was on the record here in county court as well. So with that said, we'll move on to any late items for the agenda.
I don't have any.
All right. Jen,
I mean, there will be an addition in the scheduling for a Wolf meeting. It'll be on the 22nd at 5 o'clock, but it doesn't require any formal action, but
okay. I'm sorry, what day was that gonna be on
the
the,
22nd,
of this month?
yes.
Okay. So with that said, then, I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda, November 18th, 2024.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the November 18th county court agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Next topic is minutes approval. So we have three separate sessions, work sessions and the library hearing and whatnot for minutes that need to be approved. Commissioner Doro has reviewed them already, so I think we can go ahead and approve them and make sure they're not hanging out there. So the first one will be for November 6th, the county court session on November 6th.
Move to approve.
Motion's been made and I will second. The motion's been made and seconded to approve county court session minutes from 11/6/2024. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, and opposed? Motion carries. Next set of minutes to approve is for the November 6th library public hearing.
Move to approve.
I'll second. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the library hearing minutes from November 6th. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? Motion carries. And a work session from November 14th, 2024.
I have not had time to review that one myself, but I looked at the other ones, but haven't.
We'll table that one.
We can figure that.
All right, so then moving right along then, we have a very short agenda today. Got plenty of time, but we got a very short agenda today. This week is the Association of Oregon Counties annual conference. And myself, Commissioner Doro's not here, but myself, Commissioner Doro will be attending and you're still not planning on attending?
No, I have Southeast Oregon RAC meetings here this week.
Okay, so we're gonna divide and conquer a little bit for those purposes, but with that being said, we kept it light today so that we can get on the road and travel over the mountain today. So first up then on the agenda next is Malheur National Wildlife Refuge Manager Jess Winnick, and again, I just asked if he was the permanent or acting, and he said he's the permanent manager, and congratulations, sir, and it'd be good to work with you for years to come.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
So, whatever update or whatever you got for us, you have the floor, sir.
All right, so the refuge is about to revisit and update our comprehensive conservation plan, which is a 15-year plan that includes like a broad 15-year vision of moving forward. But at the same time, we're going to be working on developing concurrently a more detailed habitat management plan. And that would include like specific actions and strategies of how we want to move forward. And we're doing this now because we're seeing significant issues on the refuge. So we're starting the process about 3 years earlier than would normally be necessary. So this planning process is very collaborative, much like the 2013 process was. That was very community minded and was actually in the Fish and Wildlife Service the most collaborative plan in the nation for refuges. And so we plan to continue in that spirit of collaboration. And so what we're working on right now is a communication plan. that really gets the message out to the public. Because these meetings are going to be public meetings where anybody with an interest in the refuge is able to participate and weigh in, share their voice and their concerns, and also be involved in the brainstorming process of how do we move from point A to point B. These meetings will be professionally facilitated, and the facilitator is provided by High Desert Partnership. And the first meeting is January 29th. And it's going to be, the meetings will be locally held. The first meeting is, we've reserved the Chamber of Commerce conference room, or whatever you call that, for that. But it's also going to be a hybrid meeting, which means that folks can join in on Zoom. And so we're building a listserv that High Desert Partnership will use to send out links to anybody who's interested in participating in these meetings. So we are going to, as a part of the communication plan, we're Brenda Smith, the director of the High Desert Partnership, and I are planning to go to Harney County Live on the radio and talk about it. High Desert Partnership is writing a article for that we will put in the Burns Times Herald with a lot of details about this process. What is a CCP? What are we doing? And answering a lot of those questions as a part of the outreach as well. But the way that this is going to look is, so the first meeting will be January, and then they'll happen every other month. And so then the next one will, of course, be in March. But we also have another group that we've developed or in the process of finalizing that we're calling our CCP, or Comprehensive Conservation Plan Core Group. And this group is roughly 12 or a little more individuals that represent specific interests of folks that are interested in the refuge. So a broad array of interests. And this core group helps the refuge to process what was discussed at the prior meeting, what was covered, the materials, the direction that it looks like it's heading toward, and then helping the refuge develop an agenda to make sure to capture all that and move it forward into the next meeting. I think the most exciting part of this whole process for me is that this is not your usual agency planning process. Normally, you have your planners, your regional planners, and heavily involved in kind of guiding you to get to a certain outcome. Well, we don't know what the outcome of this plan is going to be. We know there are fundamental foundational issues that need to be addressed, but exactly how is that going to look moving forward in addressing them, we're not sure yet. So it's truly an organic process. They're not going to engage and start helping the refuge until much further down the road, when we actually get a direction established and going through this collaborative process. So we're pretty excited about that. One thing that we would really like, I had a exciting conversation with Rob Frank last week at the RAC meeting, and I was telling him about this process. And he was really, really interested in it and would like to be very involved. And so I would like to ask the county court if he could possibly be the county representative in this core group.
Yeah, if he's already reached out and actually expressed that interest, and we have no formalized appointments for what we represent or different boards or this, that. It's just kind of our own interests. And I would say definitely if he's already reached out, that would be more than feasible and endorsed by the rest of the court. I don't see any issues there.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I could go on and on about this process, but a lot of that's going to be covered in the paper and on the radio and all of that. But I guess, do you have
Any questions?
I was gonna ask your communications plan, will that just be an internal document, or will that be a public document? And the reason I ask is, communications is always the difficult task of any project or process in county government, any government, is getting the word out. So, I mean, we have the newspaper, we have social media, we have the radio. You know, if you can build a big enough listserv email list, something like that helps too. But I just basically was interested if we could take a look at it when you're done with it, if there's any unique forms of outreach, you know, other than public meetings, there are also another form there. But just something else that maybe the county might be able to glean from to, you know, to aid in our outreach and you know, learn from best practices from others.
Well, certainly, there's definitely nothing confidential in this draft communication plan. We're still finalizing it. But I would be happy to share it with court.
Great.
And, one thing about this process is we really do want to be fully transparent and open. And so I don't think there's anything like that we would ever get back.
I applaud the approach that you're taking right off the bat. This collaborative approach with a formal facilitator. It really speaks to openness, transparency, and the value of everybody's input. So I think that's a great first step.
Well, and just, I'm planning on attending the CCPs, even though I won't be in this role. You know, it's been an interesting process to get to, you know, interact with the refuge in my current role, and, you know, look forward to continuing to work with them, you know, just as things roll forward. It's really great to have Jess in this role, and his leadership is really outstanding at the refuge. He's got great staff right now too, that makes a big difference when you feel like you got the right people in place to do that. And so, you know, just like I say, we know that the refuge is the heart of the county. It's such an asset to the county, and look forward to seeing it continue to look for good things and make some changes that need to be looked at. And how we get there, like you say, is part of the process, and I look forward to seeing how that plays out.
I would ask if you're still developing this listserv or your email list, that you would include the current members at that time. That'll be Commissioner Frank, myself, and Commissioner Doro. Make sure you have our email addresses, and then that way we can see how things are going as they go along. Even though Rob may be the lead, Commissioner Frank may be the lead in representing the county or in attendance anyway. At least that way we can kind of stay up on where you're at with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Cover it.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. You're welcome to stick around for the rest of county court, or if everybody's busy, you got things to do, you're welcome to depart if you need to.
I'll stay for another 50 minutes.
Okay. All right, next topic is county department updates, and we have Brian Needham from Veteran Services. Sir.
Thank you. First of all, I want to apologize for missing the last meeting that I was scheduled for. I think it was 2 meetings ago. I had a veteran come in that was in crisis and had to deal with that, so I could not make the last one, but I'm happy to be here today. Thank you guys for having me. I brought some numbers just to kind of give you guys a little bit of an update. We currently, through my office, represent 766 veterans in the community. In the last 12 months, we brought retroactive payments of $219,597 into the community, and monthly awards of $46,340. That'll be sustained throughout the life of the veterans.
Do you have a little background on why that was such a significant change?
As far as from what?
Well, just in addition to, and you said they were retroactive.
So the retroactive, when a veteran comes in and files a claim, that claim can take numerous years to develop and to get finalized. And the retroactive is money that goes back to the date that they filed the claim. The monthly amount is the monthly amount that they get every month. It works out to about, if all 766 veterans were getting money, it worked out to an average of about $1,325 per veteran. Not every veteran gets money from the VA for disabilities, but that's where those numbers come from. The total of monthly awards for Harney County since we've had veteran services in Harney County is $1,013,752 that is being spent in Harney County. And then last week for Veterans Day on the 12th, it was Tuesday after Veterans Day, we did a veterans lunch at the senior center. We served, I believe, approximately 180 meals that day in an hour and a half. Not all veterans, but a lot of veterans were there, including Commissioner Hart or Judge Hart. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what your official title is, if it's judge or commissioner.
Technically, it's
but
judge,
it's okay.
yeah.
Judge, okay, sorry about that. And then we also auctioned off a vehicle that was donated to us to help go towards Veterans Village, the housing that we're working on. We sold 393 tickets and it brought in just under $7,000 for it. And that's what I have. Do you guys have any questions from me?
I will let you know, and I think I kind of mentioned it briefly, when we filed the annual form for state veteran services, funds. It became apparent from filling out that form that, the responsibility for veteran services is on the county, much like mental health or public health or whatever, but that responsibility lies with the county. Whereas the hub is a nonprofit and you are a hub employee,
Right,
we need to work on a contract
right,
between the county and the hub, you, to provide those veteran services for the county. And I, again, didn't realize that we were kind of sitting in that situation or whatever until this year, but I've sent off a couple of sample contracts from other counties that I got to our county council. And, references to the statutes that identify county veteran services officer and responsibilities. So hopefully that should be coming back within the next few weeks and we can address that in a hub board meeting or however we need to do that, but it's coming.
okay.
I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, and you mentioned it to me previously that you were working on that, so I was aware of that.
No, I don't have any.
Great. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you.
So. Next topic is public comment. I know Mr. Smallwood wanted to address during public comment, wanted to address the court in regards to, I believe, elder abuse.
Yes, sir.
Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, one from the story. You can keep to look at as we go through this, yours if you want to.
Right. So that one's for
I gave this presentation in a really rushed way to City Hall or City Council just recently, but now that I'm not pushed so hard, I'm going to tell you that you can open up the packet. The first page was mainly for City Council people, because they usually dig through that. And then, so there's my credentials for being able to give this presentation. They start in 1977 as a patrolman for Naval Security in NAS Again Bomb. And then I went through, I've been a customs inspector, and I spent over 21 years working for the city of Burns. And I was trained in all kinds of abuse investigations. Most of it was involving children. But as time progressed, we started realizing that there's abuse of elders and it falls under the same category as children. Elder abuse does. And then
Just a quick question.
Yes.
This will all become public record. Is any of this sensitive
No.
where you wouldn't want it?
well, you can, even, I'm not even afraid to release this document because is
I'm
there,
just saying with, you know, pictures of stuff,
this pictures of me, that's fine. You know, if
I
somebody
just
wants,
didn't know if any of this was
There
sensitive
is,
to.
let's exclude this portion because there is a social security number on one
Well,
of those.
that,
IDs.
yeah, that's where I was kind of
Oh,
getting
I'm
at,
sorry, I
'cause
didn't
I
see
didn't know that you
Thank
would want that
thank you,
disclosed.
Judge. Well, it's already been fraudulently used many times, so.
Yeah, sadly, that's
So we'll
the thing.
exclude this ID page.
Okay.
Well, and then as you get past the credentials, I just wanted you guys to know that I'm not talking out of the wrong side of my mouth about this issue. And there's a page here. All this stuff is off the internet. It's none of it is confidential or anything. It's all public information. But the Department of, Health and Human Services here in the state of Oregon puts out this pamphlet and it's called Reporting the Views of Older Adults and People with Physical Disabilities. And you can call this hotline 1-855-503-7233 anytime to report any kind of abuse. And you can remain confidential. Your name will not be released, but just the slightest thing that you may think that isn't quite up to par, you would have to report it. And I want to talk about mandatory reporters and public employees, no matter where they work at, are mandatory reporters, just like people that work in the hospital or clinics or that are caretakers. And I brought another booklet that I don't know if you guys have. This is the Oregon Municipal Handbook on Abuse Reporting. I don't know if you guys have one of these in the county. This was put out by the League of Oregon Cities, and the only reason I provide a copy of it is that it goes into quite detail about reporting child abuse, and then also about elder abuse. And it says that elder abuse is defined to include any person 65 years or older. So if you're 65 years older, it's mandatory. If it's a child under 18, it's mandatory. And if it's anybody with a physical disability that's being abused, it's mandatory. And I put in here some highlighted areas is who has the duty to report. And there's just a huge list of people that, and most of us are probably, it's just common sense. And common sense is the key to all of this. And I've included the definitions of all of this falls under the Oregon chapter ORS 124.050. And it talks about ORS 410-600. And it talks about the kinds of activities that are provided to people with disabilities. And it talks about home care worker means. And I put the definition of private home care givers is also in here on one of the, probably the last pamphlet you got. And it says that yes, privately held caregivers in Oregon are required to report mandatory abuse over 65. And then behind that is the Oregon legislative definition of 124.050 in its entirety. And I'm not going to sit here and read all of this. We all know that if we have time, we'll take care to read it. But the only reason I'm here is I'm an advocate for the disabled people in our community. I have worked trying to get the handicapped parking things, and the court has been very gracious in what they've done so far. And I look forward to more improvements as time goes by. And I just want people to know that myself, I've been the victim of elder abuse. And I just would like you to know it's really important in our community that if you see something that's not right, you report it. And that you will save a life if you do that. And the same with saving the life of a child. This is very important. Even if it just happens to happen once or twice in your lifetime, just imagine what you may have done for somebody. And I'm open to any questions, Judge or Christie, please.
I think that it's a, a good reminder for the public, even in the church that I affiliate with, there's mandatory, training that you have to receive to work with children. And so I think it's a topic that we're more aware of than, in times past. But it's something that we need to, like you say, continue to be vigilant about.
Yes, ma'am. My question is, does the court have guidelines for county employees to follow regarding reporting child abuse or mandatory child abuse or elder abuse? Do you have anything like that from the league of, I don't know, the counties, the association of counties?
We don't have anything specifically written for county employees, but just follow the state statutes.
Yeah.
And now, and since one of the things that I've done during my career is I had ongoing education. And is that something that, do you have a chance to have a county meetings with your employees or department heads to pass out information that might refresh their minds and just say, well, we haven't talked about this in however how long, and we want you to just put this in the back of your minds. Is that something that can be done?
Absolutely. We do have staff meetings, department head staff meetings. Doesn't include all county employees, but we can, bringing it to our attention is definitely a good thing that we can add to one of our staff meetings. And make more copies of what you've provided and hand it out to the department heads and then have them share it downward to their department staff.
Well, Judge and Michelle, and you guys have done a great job to just listening to what I had to say. And I think it's very welcoming to hear what you've told me. And I appreciate the time to speak before the court today and provide this information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? All right, so then we shall move on to old business. So it was brought to our attention, the drought letter that we executed a couple sessions ago was missing a paragraph. So we need to re-sign this. And I believe was it this paragraph? This bottom paragraph was already formally declared a drought and has attached a copy of the adopted resolution.
I know the governor's office was in communication with Representative Owens about this, and that the governor was gone for 2 weeks. And so they were kind of wondering about immediate action on it. And I told them, obviously the sooner the better, but good to know that we weren't quite in line with some of what we needed to pass along as well, perhaps.
So I would propose that if you need to review that first or anything.
Yeah.
But I
just
would
like to kind of
propose
read
that
over the
we
paragraph that was.
re-sign this letter and get it up channeled.
Stuff is lost on. I remember reading it. Maybe it was online that I read it.
I don't recall the,
I have the older copy on
do you have
my
the
desk.
original copy?
I'm curious, because I'm like, well, I know I read that on one of the online versions.
County clerk has determined that the additional actions and support, but it doesn't, no, it's missing that full paragraph.
Interesting. Well, that's different.
I don't think it's gonna matter, I mean, on this letter that Commissioner Doro is not present, that she could sign it at a later date. So I'm gonna text her, and when she's coming through town today on her way to Eugene, if she could stop in real quick, I can sign it, and then that way we'll have it done, and emergency management director can get it up channeled.
You got it.
It's just kind of rewritten is all that is this paragraph is rewritten into these 2 paragraphs that contains a lot of the same information versus that one.
I guess the only thing it doesn't really specifically state is just this first sentence that says that we've formally declared.
But that was in our resolution that we formally declared it, which the resolution is mentioned. previous. I mean, to me, it's not a make it or break it whether it'll be signed at the governor's
What-
level, so I don't know that.
What was the emergency management director's? Did she indicate that it had to be in there, that this letter needed to be amended, or?
She said we signed the wrong one, there's missing information, and then she provided me with the new one. If you would like me to go down to the basement and see if she's available.
No, if she would prefer this be the copy used, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
I'd say it's just slightly rewritten from the original version.
All right, then, without any objection, I will propose that we sign this and get it off.
The only thing that I would mention is, our representatives at the state level, Representative Owens and Senator Finley, anytime that we send any of this type of communication off, should also be CC'd in those emails.
I was just gonna record this, what would you like me to do with it?
Make sure that their office gets the final copies as well. Because then as the governor's office reached out to Representative Owens, he was actually unaware that this had taken place, so we just always need to make sure that they were looped in.
Sign that, and Patty signs it as well.
If she can sign it immediately, yes.
Yeah, that's why I just texted her, so hopefully.
She's coming through to leave and probably get a signature on it today.
That back in there. So that's all we had for old business. We had no new business. Like I said, we kept it pretty light today so that we'll be able to make sure we can travel over the mountain. I don't have, we talked about the Wolf meeting on the 22nd.
And just a little follow-up on that part, we had a quarterly Wolf Committee meeting with ODA where they pull in a lot of the counties with Wolf committees. And in some of that conversation, there's a funding opportunity coming up in 2025 through NRCS and Western Landowners Alliance for additional prevention funds that will become available for producers. And so as we kind of look at planning for the grant application in the future, there's an opportunity to kind of look at how we do a little bit of that differently. And I had some discussion. I invited Commissioner-elect Frank to that meeting, and so he sat in on that as well. But some counties actually work directly with their APHIS staff, and so and if they're working on anything wolf related, those hours can be compensated through those grant dollars. And so I went ahead and talked to Shane Coyle, our regional person with APHIS, and brought that up to him and asked him to work with his staff to make sure that we're designating any wolf related work so that we could bill that back to the grant funds. And the county could potentially get reimbursed directly from those grant funds for any wolf related work that APHIS does. And so that's a new thing that I learned in that quarterly meeting the other day. There's one county that they have designated APHIS staff that only do wolf related work. And so all their grant dollars happen to go to that. It's kind of a unique situation over in Jackson County and some of those other counties where a couple of those counties go with their grant dollars to support that APHIS staff, but that's all they do. So we're not in the situation where we need a full-time APHIS wolf staff here in the county, but as that workload, in working with ODFW and APHIS, especially on investigations, there will be hours that APHIS staff does participate in. And so those have an option for us to, at least designate them back towards the grant.
Yeah, no, that's great. Any dollars we can recoup through other grant meetings, that's great.
Yeah, I thought that's an opportunity we haven't had in the future. They just barely last October got trained to do wolf investigations, so prior they really wouldn't have been involved with, any time designated for that, but now they would be, and so we can look at, I had him look from July 1 till now to see if there's any hours that we could put in as we look at this grant cycle. And if not, at least make sure that we're tracking them thoroughly from this point forward, so.
Good, good. Any other meetings to mention?
There
going
is the Southeast Oregon RAC meeting this week on Wednesday and Thursday, I believe. Just had that email up. I think it's actually tomorrow and the next day. Yeah, so Tuesday and Wednesday. I think there was one other meeting. Oh, the full collaborative for the community-based water planning also meets Tuesday, from 3 to 7. Community-based water planning, 3 to 7 at the chamber. What day? On Tuesday.
The 19th.
Thank you.
And then I think we're back on track for December county court sessions. December 4th, December 18th. I don't know of any conflicts there, so we should be back on track for those. And we've already talked about moving the January 1 court date to January 8th, after new elected officials have been sworn in. So nothing to change there. Correspondence. We received a couple of letters from the county, from the state of Oregon. Oh, wait a minute, those are wrong folder. That was last correspondence. From the city of Burns, public hearing notice, plan amendment and zone change. The Burns City Council, this is in regards to the Telos development. And that was, will be on December 11th at 6:15 PM. To consider the application for Telos Development Company LLC for the comprehensive plan amendment and zone change for approximately 21 acres of land located within the southern corporate limits of the city of Burns. Then a letter from the Bureau of Land Management. Says they're pleased to release the proposed Lakeview Resource Management Plan amendment and final environmental impact statements. Both of these letters are a part of the packet and available for review by the public. The correspondence?
No, just as a note, public part of that, letter from the BLM will be part of the discussion for the Southeast Oregon RAC.
General deliberation. Anything?
I don't know, my head's, I think, how did we get to this point in the month already, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how, we have anything that we haven't covered.
I'm going to, from our work session last week in regards to the ARPA funds. I'm hoping that this week during the AOC conference, that there will be some NACO, National Association of Counties, staff there that we can talk to directly and be able to get some clearer guidance on the approved uses of those funds. And
Did your point of contact get back with you on that?
they did. I was talking with the judge out of Gilliam County, and it's not real clear. I'm not, email communication on it wasn't, I'm still foggy on it. They made it sound like, because we received such a small amount, that we could basically take the whole thing and convert it to general fund. And then if we did that, then we could appropriate and not have to worry about any categories or whatever for how we wanna expend those funds. I don't know yet. I don't know. That's some of the stuff. And then I'm not sure about interest on those funds as they've been sitting there for the last couple of years. If the interest dollars are held to the same standards as the original dollars, the funds that we got, or if those interest dollars should have gone to general fund. I don't know. There's several questions that I have, and like I said, I'm hoping that there'll be somebody there from NACO to ask those questions. And then hopefully like I said, I think we tabled it or put it on the December fourth agenda. So by December 4th, then hopefully I'll have the information on how we can proceed, and as the body, we can decide how to expend those funds. That's the only update that I have. Like I said, hopefully it'll be a good conference and we'll come away with lots of good information.
Okay, well, I move to adjourn then.
Nothing else being on the agenda, I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. County Court shall stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Like the batteries in this are just about, got one part of it.
Find some batteries, maybe that on Amazon or something.
So you've got one of these. Make sure you take out Steven's stuff there. And I'll hang on to this and use it, put it on my agenda for the next county court or staff meeting.
Maybe you can, right?
Okay,